This is KGW News at Sunrise.
Now at 5, it's the key to slowing the spread of COVID. When scientists think Oregon will reach herd immunity and what could get in the way. Plus,
he just makes life for me easier.
It's the story of a special bond between a veteran and his service dog, thanks to a local nonprofit. Coming up here at 5:15, we're going to tell you more about Northwest Battle Buddies and their efforts to help veterans with PTSD.
And those fancy safety systems in your car put to the test this morning. Find out if they really work in our rainy Northwest weather.
It is a Thursday morning here on the Sunrise Show. Brenda Braxton confirmed for me that Rod Hill is not standing next to me on the other side.
Oh no, that is not Rod.
That is not Rod, is it?
I mean, either that or Rod grew a few inches overnight.
Apparently Rod thought it was Saturday because he took the rest of the week off.
There you go.
And part of next week too. Good for him enjoying some time off. Hey, I want to show you something cool. Check this out. That is the shot from our TIMBERLINE camera that is pointed south towards Mount Jefferson. We can see it at 5 o'clock in the morning, and we are a long ways from sunrise, and that's because the moon is full, right? So we've got the full moon over the cloud cover out there. I'll have to turn the camera around so we can get a look at that. That's kind of a cool October sight, right? The hunter's moon out there. 55 last check at PDX. We're off to a mild start. Big picture across the state. The cold spot, nobody terribly cold. Burns right now waking up to 32. It's a little cold east of the mountains, but not too bad. All right, the big headline for today, we've got a dry morning commute. We're dry through lunchtime, but guys, rain is back in the forecast this afternoon. It'll be a breezy and wet drive home from work and school. I'll walk you through that and a very wet 7-day forecast in just a few minutes.
Okay, thank you for the heads up, Chris. Well, we start off this morning with some potentially hopeful news in the fight against COVID. Researchers predict Oregon will reach herd immunity in just over 2 months, although a lot more people will likely get infected along the way.
Let's talk about this prediction, though, for a moment, because the lead data scientist at OHSU, his name is Peter Graven, he's nailed it down to a specific day, and he estimates that Oregon could reach herd immunity against the Delta variant by December 26th. To get there, Graven says 85% of the population either has to be vaccinated or develop natural immunity through a COVID infection. Since September, COVID cases in Oregon have been trending downward, but even though the strain on hospitals is starting to ease, Graven says more than 20% of people in Oregon are still vulnerable to COVID. And he predicts another 177,000 people will get infected before the state reaches herd immunity.
I would estimate probably around 700 deaths, in fact. And so, that to me is not really a relief. That's going to be more people that are going to have to go through this.
At this point, Graven says there's nothing out there that suggests we'll see a surge from a new variant, but that could also change at any time.
Well, we're getting a closer look at the numbers behind state vaccine mandates. And one thing is clear, Oregon has been more willing to keep state workers in their jobs than Washington has. Here's KGW's Tim Gordon.
Two states with Democratic governors who have often followed each other's leads on managing the coronavirus pandemic. But not exactly when it comes to vaccine mandates and exemptions for state workers. We're going to throw some figures at you, but they prove the point. In Oregon, with more than 40,000 under the mandate, nearly 34,000 got vaccinated. And 11%, or nearly 4,300 people, got religious exemptions. In Oregon, an exemption means accommodations are made and you actually keep your job. But not so in Washington, where more than 63,000 are under a mandate. More than 56,000 proved vaccination, and about 7% got a religious exemption. But in Washington, only 3% were granted an accommodation to keep their job.
So that is a big difference.
Washington at 3%, Oregon at 11% for accommodating exemptions. That's 8% more state workers in Oregon staying employed. Professor Carlos Crespo is director of PSU's School of Public Health. His take, whether state workers are accommodated or lose their jobs, as hard as that is, it accomplishes the same goal for public health.
The expectation is that you are not going to put that person in harm's way. And therefore, governors have to require that the people who represent the government are not harming or could potentially harm somebody else.
But still, that's tough, whether you're a fish and wildlife worker or a state trooper in Washington. Getting an exemption does not equal employment.
Now, here's another difference between states that may explain some of this.
In Washington, exemption decisions are being made at the state human resource level. In Oregon, they're being made at the agency level, with guidance provided from state HR to help understand what exemptions are and how people can qualify for them, trying to keep things fair. Like it or not, COVID vaccinations have become highly charged and, yes, a political issue. And for public health leaders like Professor Crespo, that's too bad.
We cannot ignore the fact that COVID-19 is the number three, cause of death in 2020.
And it carries on in 2021. Tim Gordon, KGW News.
The FDA has now authorized COVID booster shots with the Moderna and J&J vaccines. That makes boosters available for all three vaccines in the United States. The FDA also gave the green light to mix and match boosters. For example, a person originally vaccinated with Johnson & Johnson could receive a Moderna or Pfizer booster shot.
We know staffing shortages are impacting a lot of school districts in the area, including Beaverton. So in response to that, Beaverton's school district is offering incentives right now to hopefully fill hundreds of jobs. For starters, just for staying in their current roles, certain people in certain positions will get $500, and the district is also offering that $500 incentive to new hires. The in-demand positions include bus drivers, nutrition services staff, custodians, and school office assistants. But the bus driver shortage really shows how the lack of employees can strain the entire system.
Is every administrator, every supervisor, every dispatcher and mechanic are actually, those who can, are running bus routes every day. That works in the short term, but that also means that they're not doing their jobs as administrators, supervisors, mechanics, and dispatchers.
The Beaverton School District says it has more than 550 openings right now, and that doesn't even include the openings for substitute teachers, who, by the way, are not eligible for that $500 incentive. Beaverton school officials also say that the vaccine mandate did not have a huge impact on the worker shortage. In fact, only 15 full-time employees out of about 4,600 are on unpaid leave right now, and some of them are expected back by November 1st after they reach full vaccination status.
Well, those in the business of making wine and spirits in Oregon are feeling the impact of a nationwide glass shortage. There are a lot of different challenges, including getting glass to make the bottles, then getting them all packaged and shipped and distributed. The shortage is connected to backups in the supply chain brought on by the pandemic. A local distiller says it may not get the bottles it needs until next year.
We have at least 3 suppliers that we order glass from on a regular basis, and everyone has the same answer, which is thanks for your order. We'll get back to you in 2022.
So depending on the product, distillers may choose a different bottle, something that's already in stock.
All right, if you have your Sunrise lineup card out, you know that Chris McGinnis is filling in for Rod Hill this morning. But before he gets to the forecast, you have a great story here about those fancy car features in a lot of new cars and how they respond to rainy conditions.
Yeah, so the latest test from AAA suggests that not so well. Let's go ahead and check out what they had to say.
I was on the highway and the car in front of me just stopped.
Andrew Herman recalls his near miss while driving his Chrysler minivan on a freeway.
I slammed my foot on the brake, but it had already engaged the brake. It saved me from getting in an accident.
And that's how Advanced Driver Assistance Systems, ADAS for short, are supposed to work.
It can be confusing to consumers because some of the systems are called Autopilot, ProPilot, Pilot Assist.
To be clear, we're still talking about cars with AAA's Marie Dodds. And the exotic names for some of those safety systems are as varied as the people who drive them.
These are all names that suggest these systems can do a lot more than they actually can.
Windshield cameras activate some of these technologies. So AAA gave cars from Buick, Hyundai, Toyota, and Volkswagen a test, spraying water across the windshield at a rate similar to what we'd experience on a typical rainy day in Oregon.
And we found that in the rain, automatic emergency braking did not work about 1/3 of the time.
This was at 35 miles an hour. Another safety feature, lane keeping assist. This literally helps keep your car in your lane. It failed AAA's test in the rain 2/3 of the time.
I've taken my kids skiing, and the ice builds up on the radar in the front, and then it just shuts down. So you just don't have it.
Were those safety features a selling point for you?
Yeah,
Greg has 2 newer Hondas, both equipped with ADAS. He's read the manuals and watched the manufacturer's videos.
I don't rely on it to keep me driving. It's a backup, really.
And that's really the main message from safety advocates.
Do advanced driver assistance technologies help us and make the road safer and help prevent crashes and injuries? Absolutely. But they can never replace an engaged driver.
Asking your dealership for a thorough run-through of these advanced systems is always recommended.
She is 100% right. When I bought my car, one of the models had all this tech, all these computer things on the screen. I said, I'm going to be so distracted, I'm going to get in an accident. So I just went simple. It's crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of options out there, and you know what? They're all designed to help. But the big thing is, drive that point home. Learn how to use them. Yeah. And, you know, who wants to spend that time at the dealership after you spend all that time haggling over the price or whatever? Well, make an appointment and go learn another time.
We're up against the forecast. We'll talk more about this in the 6 o'clock hour, but you're also doing some double duty today with the weather.
We've got rain coming our way, but first let me take you to a cool picture of Cannon Beach and the full moon that is being kind of clouded out just a little bit. But you can still see it. Usually our Cannon Beach camera not quite so bright, but we've got the light of the full moon that's trying to shine through the cloud cover out there this morning. Check out that this is a very impressive storm system cranking off the Pacific Northwest coast. I mean, it almost looks like a hurricane, doesn't it? Look at that thing just spinning there. It is not a hurricane, of course, and it is continuing to weaken as it tracks on off to the north and east, but a very deep low pressure system there. And then in its wake, another little one. Not so little, strong enough, and that's going to drive eastward and bring with it increasing clouds and increasing rain later today. So here's a look at FutureCast. This is today at lunchtime. We are dry. Most of western Oregon will be dry through noon, with the exception of maybe some light sprinkles starting to hit the coast. By afternoon, early afternoon, that rain band comes ashore, and just in time for the drive home from work and school. We're talking 3:30, 4, 5 o'clock. The I-5 corridor here is going to get wet, potentially really wet for a few hours here as that front sweeps on through. Showers then in the forecast tomorrow, maybe even a rumble of thunder. So Friday could be kind of an interesting day as well. Here's how much rain we're looking at through the day tomorrow. So today and tomorrow's rain, maybe an inch of rain here in Portland. It's going to be a wet go of it late this afternoon and through the day tomorrow. And in fact, our 7-day forecast is quite wet as well. I've got rain in the forecast every one of the next 7 days. The heaviest rain again late this afternoon, probably again Friday night and Saturday, and then probably again Sunday night and Monday. So those are the windows of the heaviest rain. Otherwise, it's just late rain and showers in between. Brenda?
All right. Thank you, Chris. Well, this morning, Pet Week continues here on Sunrise, and we're shining the spotlight on a nonprofit using specially trained dogs to provide comfort for veterans with PTSD. We'll have more on Northwest Battle Buddies when we come back.